Very much so, Gina. In fact, this morning, the winds from this morning's storms are so powerful. You can see this huge pine tree uprooted and split this home right in half. But the good news behind that is the two people who were inside the home when it happened weren't injured when this tree came crashing down.
Yeah, Margot, and it's really not hard to see why. If you were driving down this road behind me and you saw this construction going on, would you still think these businesses are open? It's something that store owners and customers are trying to work through as the city continues its improvement. Liz, there are several helping hands along the way, and when you're dealing with storms that can produce damage like this, it takes a community to make it happen, and thankfully the survivors that I've talked to have received just that. Well, Liz, the list is long if you're looking for reasons why a small business couldn't survive. We're talking finances, we're talking finding and retaining good employees, and we're also talking about finding a good and affordable location. And today I talked to one business owner about the process of owning her own small business as she prepares to close her doors for the final time. Nola and I did, and they told me that it's very likely they're going to see it come up in the next session. Of course, this wouldn't be the first time the lines between church and state have intersected in Alabama. As Louisiana teachers prepare to put the Ten Commandments in their classrooms, state leaders in Alabama foresee a future where it could happen here, too.
I'm sure that there will be at least one bill coming forward next session, probably one in each chamber, would be my guess.
Republican State Senator Sam Gavin of Madison County said he isn't sure if that should be a priority for the state. Back in 2002, State Supreme Court Chief Justice Roy Moore made national headlines when he displayed the Ten Commandments in the Alabama Judicial Building. Moore and the monument were both removed after a federal court ruled it unconstitutional. But Gavin says things have changed since then.
Apparently on that issue, there is an existing injunction. I think that case would have to be reopened to put it back in the courthouse or Supreme Court building, and that would be up to the Chief Justice.
House Minority Leader Democrat Anthony Daniels of Huntsville said he would strongly oppose a Louisiana-style commandments bill for Alabama. He called it ridiculous.
Unless the Ten Commandments is going to increase the grade point averages or the curriculum for math and reading and science and history for young people, I think is a complete waste of time.
Daniels agrees with Gavin, saying he expects some lawmakers to introduce the bill to score political points, but he says there are more important things to do.
We should be focusing on paying our educators more money, making certain that we're focusing on birth to pre-K programs with the curriculum so that children have access to it early on. Until we pass legislation that helps families, that's their last best chance to bring life into this world of defining a fertilized embryo as not being a child, then I don't want to have a conversation about it.
Now, in Louisiana, the dust hasn't settled on the situation just yet. Lawsuits are expected to challenge the new bill any day. This South Huntsville neighborhood looks pretty quiet, but Jay Puckett says looks can be deceiving. He says there's been a string of mail thefts here lately.
The anxiety of just actual frustration that somebody would do these things is kind of got our whole culture just irritated.
Puckett says this is video footage of the thief in a car driving away from a mail theft at his parents' home. They live just down the street from him. Puckett said the act was so brazen that if the flag on his mailbox was up, the thief would come right to his mailbox and clear it out in seconds. The stolen mail contained checks that would have been cashed had his parents not contacted their bank after seeing the theft take place. Puckett says the bank let them know the thief certainly tried.
The person had come to the bank and there was they stopped the payment, so therefore they wouldn't allow it, and they had just struck through the Huntsville Utilities and written their name in, and that was their attempt to cash the check.
The thief had also discarded mail that had already been opened in Puckett's yard. It belonged to Alice Battle, who lives a few doors down from him. Battle told me within 2 hours of putting that mail in her mailbox, Puckett was knocking on her door to tell her the bad news.
I was just horrified. I mean, I live in a good neighborhood, but you know, it's just one of those things that's happening, and we just have to be cautious. And everybody I'm talking to now, I'll just say, don't use the mailbox. Don't put your red flag up, because the red flag is a red flag.
5'2", and he's 6'7".
Sergeant James Carson will be 102 years old in November, but he's a treasure trove of memories.
And the radio is mounted right behind the driver's seat under this canvas cover now. And that was a bandolier of ammunition and a canteen, a German and
Carson was a radio operator during the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium. It's been 80 years, but he remembers D-Day all too vividly. He says he was focusing on his high school graduation when the invasion in Normandy reshaped his entire life.
I was just blessed to not be in that landing. I probably wouldn't be here today had I been in that landing. I know some men who were there that didn't come back.
His ties to the military extend far beyond just him. He's had brothers who served in World War II and uncles who served in the First World War.
This is the original telegram that came to my grandmother about his death.
One of his uncles was killed in a poison gas attack in World War I. Carson says he considers himself lucky that similar tactics weren't used as much in the Second World War.
So of course we had a gas mask available if we needed it, but fortunate that we never run into any problem with the Germans spraying poison gas on our troops.
After the war, Carson kept the military in his life. He went on to teach others how to work with military radio and served for a while at Redstone Arsenal. He even joined the Alabama Defense Force, working for his country even into his late 80s. In Arab Daquan Lee, 48. Huntsville Bible College is preparing to usher in a new chapter of leadership. Its founder and former president, Dr. John Clay, now retired, is looking back on his time served with joy and a sense of accomplishment. A pioneer to his city, his school paved the path for black students to hone their craft as they learn to teach the word of Christianity here in the Rocket City, located on Oakwood Avenue.
Not only is it grounded in good foundation and good ethics and theology and integrity, but it also teaches those students how to function in their culture for which they will have to serve.
In pursuit of his own ministry education, he used to travel to Nashville 4 nights a week to attend American Baptist College. Huntsville Bible College was founded as a way to cut down travel and to provide an affordable and compatible education for prospective black ministers, providing an education to more than 100 students yearly. But he says the school dealt with its struggles along the way, seeking accreditation and having its own facilities.
We don't own the building next door. And so we were housed there for probably 15, 20 years. So this building was renovated to become the new place for the Huntsville Bible College. It was only an empty shell. It did not have any windows, had no doors, it had no partitions at all.
Regardless of the early challenges, Huntsville Bible College now thrives, producing plenty of graduates and having molded several ministers, including Earl Johnson, pastor of Christ Community Church in Huntsville.
Perhaps if they were not there and convenient for me to start really my theological training, I don't know what direction I would have taken. And so because they were here local, and I could go ahead and get started, it made a major impact and difference in my life.
Though Dr. Clay has stepped away from his role, his time in retirement won't be spent in leisure. He says he's working to put together a retreat for black pastors to help learn how to lead with a small congregation, because it was his leadership from humble beginnings that helped turn Huntsville Bible College into a gem of the city.